It was quite sad in a way when we were told. I actually asked the oncologist how long Doug had to live, knowing that he probably wouldn't have been able to tell me, but he was wonderful, and he said to me that he felt that Doug would have a good Christmas, he'd probably have a good Easter, and after that he just didn't know what would happen.
Clearly the chemo was particularly violent, so the side effects were going to be awful. And I don't quite know if Angie in that conversation said, I'm not going to use it anymore, but very, very quickly she came to that decision that she was not going to take chemo. She was going to take the bit of life she had and run with it.
She started thinking, I need to get everything in place. I need to get my affairs in place. I need to do things, make sure the children are okay. So she was planning ahead in that way. And I was still thinking, when's the next doctor's appointment? What's the specialist going to say? How are we going to do the biopsy? And can I get time off work to take her to the biopsy? And Mum was already thinking that she needs to start planning what she's going to do and get her affairs in place and things.
That was pretty busy and a bit intense and sometimes emotionally fraught, you know, because she was frustrated and maybe a little bit angry about the way she was. I was trying to cope with that. We tried to do what she wanted. It was her death, not ours.
Mum planned her own funeral. I wasn't too happy to discuss it when she first told me. I went round one day and she just said, oh, I've been and sorted out my funeral today. I was like, what? So I said, no, I'm not ready to talk about it, so I didn't. And then she tried it again a few days later. I really want to tell you about my funeral. I've got the most amazing coffin. I went, Mum. So yeah, we did. We talked about her funeral, what she'd arranged. She'd ordered a coffin, decided where she's going to have it. Everything, she'd paid for everything and got it all sorted and done it all. So it was quite a lot. She was like, I'm doing all this while I feel well enough to do everything. So it was pretty early while she's having her first, maybe a second round of chemo.
We also, with Doug, we did up the pamphlet that was going to be read when he actually did pass away, and Doug had complete control of it. So we made it up and various little things in it, and then we took it and showed Doug, and he told us what songs were to be sung and who was to sing them and who could say something, and so the whole service was what Doug wanted, and I think that's a special memory for us.
So in here we had tea and wine, and people could come in here and do all that, and then
fire going in here, and
yeah, and then the other room was freezing, and and one of us, at least one of us, stayed there all the time for the 3 days. There was always somebody with Angie. She was never alone, and people would come in and sit there, and some students from her school, some teenage kids came and sat with her, and I think it was a very profound community experience for people to be with her in there.
It's not something that a lot of people do in Australia, is have an open, like a vigil for 3 days at home. So some people found it quite confronting as well. Some people couldn't go in.
Obviously during that period in the backs of our minds we knew, sooner or later this might be the end of life. But we weren't thinking too much about that, because at each stage you're really thinking about positively.
And so he decided that he wanted to go to be cremated. So the two girls and Caitlin, we went out to the crematorium, and we looked for this particular place, and we looked at a few places, but we actually came across this one place, and Caitlin, who's only 8, she said, oh, Bear will love it here. She said there's water down the bottom and the bluebritons will fly around, and there's grass here in front of him so you lot can have a barbecue, and she said, I'll do cartwheels. And so when she told Bear this, he just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, look, I think that, you know, I'm getting on a bit, touching 60, and well, I've realised at some point I'm not immortal, but this has really brought it home that, you know, death is something that is part of all of our lives. Nobody wants to die, but I somehow feel that the reality of it has manifested in my life, and I can carry it.